Well, hello again, everyone, and welcome to our next webcast that we're bringing you from Travel Weekly as part of our Roadmap to Recovery series. And I'm absolutely delighted to be joined today by Gianni Onorato, who is, of course, the Chief Executive of MSC Cruises. So welcome, Gianni. Thank you so much for joining us.
Welcome to you as well, and to all our friends. And it's really a pleasure to be interviewed by you, as usual.
Oh, brilliant. Well, look, we've got lots to get through, lots of things to talk to you about. But it's been a big week, actually, for you guys. You've made two quite important announcements, which we're really interested in. Obviously, you've announced your new health and safety protocols, which you said that are going to set a new standard, a new industry standard. So I want to ask you about those. And then, obviously, very interestingly as well, you've announced your restart. So cruising again in the Mediterranean with a couple of ships. So let's just start with the health and safety protocols, because that's obviously key for everyone as they're thinking about selling cruises. They want to know what you've done to make their guests safe. So perhaps you could talk us through that, Gianni.
Yes, obviously the two things are strictly linked together. You know, the issue of our protocol, and also the opportunity that we have today, you know, to briefly outline the protocol content is strictly linked then to the possibility for us to operate into the two ships that we have in mind for our restart. We have worked very hard in the last months because you know, it's very funny. In a period where the company has no revenue and the ships are stopped, you work harder than usual. And but we have worked very hard to try to understand what was the way for our restart, and we definitely decided that it was the most important thing was to have a proper, very severe and stringent protocol in order to ensure that our crew and our guests could feel safe and could be actually be safe with lowering heavily the risk of the infection by coronavirus. So the protocol is so we have worked you know, with the many national and European authorities in order to also to set the European guidelines, which were published already in last June, the 30th of June. The European Healthy Gateway, which are the guidelines issued by European Community directions of DG Health and Direction General for Transport. So we worked with them. We have worked with the Italian authorities in order to understand what type of protocol they have in mind in order to give the possibility to restart. But then finally, we also decided to have our own panel of experts. Okay. And so because we felt that probably we should have gone beyond the rules, independently from the European rules.
Okay, so you're going to go above and beyond what their sort of standards
we cannot miss it. We have it's so important for us that we cannot fail. So what we did, we hired these experts. One of them is a nice gentleman from Australia, Professor Norton, who has been in charge of the emergency response plan for WHO. The other one is a Swiss-German gentleman who is Professor Arbart, who is in charge of, he is an expert of epidemiology and who is based here in Geneva. And the third one is Professor Christos Archichidopoulos, who is, let's say, the person who is managing the European Healthy Gateway. So who is also the one who has issued the protocols for the European community, for the aviation industry, for hotel industry, for the railway industry, and also for the cruise industry. So working with them, and you know, and I've learned also personally a lot that to work with scientists is very difficult, because I mean there is no midway for them. Okay, health and safety always comes first. So they don't care if you have operational issues and so on. So I think it's been a very, very, we have to take a very tough decision. But this has been very useful because at the end, we have really adapted all our operations and we have made feasible things that initially we were thinking were impossible to be done. Our protocol.
Give us an example. Give us an example of what, how it's going to.
I was saying, okay, it's impossible. They said in order to be sure that the risk of having a coronavirus on board is essential that you test all the passengers at the moment before embarkation.
Yeah.
Wow. And then I said, how is that possible? If I want to make a test for myself, they tell me, come tomorrow or the day after tomorrow for the results. So how can I have the people waiting in the cruise terminal, for 2 days? Or how can I bring these people on board if I don't know if they are positive or negative at the COVID test? And so we work together in a way, and we have made this feasible. So we have, using different technologies, molecular testing plus immunofluorescence testing, with algorithms deciding which people are coming from high-risk area, which people are coming from areas with lower risk, according to age, according to other pathologies, according to their symptoms, to their behavior. Then we have been able to categorize people in different sections, and these people either they needed to bring to come already provided with molecular tests, not done longer than 72 hours before the embarkation, or people will be molecular tested in the cruise terminal.
And will you be able to get that result instantly then, or how quickly can you get that result?
Because you can have the possibility in maximum 3 hours to do that. Okay?
Right, okay.
While the immunofluorescence testing, which is a new technique, which is coming up, gives the opportunity to give the results in 1 hour. So practically the guests will proceed to the cruise terminal, they will be temperature checked, then they will be taken to one of the many medical stations. So we have, for example, in Genoa, 15 medical stations. You will go there, you will be checked from a doctor, you will submit your health certificate, your health questionnaire, and then they will take the swab. Okay.
Okay.
And after you
that will be on every single guest.
Every single guest.
Brilliant.
Every single guest.
This must be putting a big cost on, into the operation, though. I mean, this is not a cheap thing
because
to do.
At the moment, also the cost of the reagent to effect the test, that we had to install a lab on board the ship as well, with biologists, so that they are the ones there in testing you immediately. So this is, the cost is approximately €500,000 per cruise, okay, altogether.
Wow.
Okay,
wow.
So that the people, then they can go to check-in, they will be asked to wait. Once it's cleared, they will proceed on board. So we make sure that all the guests will be tested. So every guest will feel fine, okay, because they know that they don't have the virus, but they also know that the people next to them don't have it.
So it's reassurance, confidence for the customer as well.
Correct. And obviously the people who either are positive or who are showing temperature above 37.5 or showing anything, they will be denied boarding. But they will not lose their money. Okay. Because all the guests can be provided with the COVID-19 protection plan insurance that has been specifically built for MSC, and that, to my knowledge.
So if they let's get this clear. So if they are denied boarding at the embarkation because of they failed the test or they failed the temperature or whatever it is, then they will not lose their money, because whenever they buy a cruise, this new COVID insurance will be included.
Exactly, because they can actually in some markets it's included, in some other they have the option, if they have already one, to buy separately. It only costs €18 per person per cruise. Okay, So it's quite cheap if you compare the coverage, because they can use it even when they are at home. If they cannot sail because either they have their suspect case or their close contact, this is covering the cost of the cruise. If they are denied boarding at the cruise terminal, it's also covering the transportation expenses. If they are on board and by chance there is a case and they are close contact, they also will be refunded for the portion of the cruise not enjoyed. If when they go back home in the first 14 days after disembarkation, by any chance they have infected by COVID, then in that case, it's also covering partially the hospitalization cost of the person. So it's a quite comprehensive plan.
And do you expect most guests traveling with MSC in the future to take this?
Yes, absolutely. Actually, we are recommending and we are considering almost as a compulsory. Okay?
Yeah.
Because this will avoid a lot of issues.
Because yes, if some have got it and some haven't, then it becomes difficult to implement your strategy.
And the other thing we did, obviously, in order to build this up, we made agreement with Shoreside Labs to support us. We made agreements with the Shoreside organization in order to supply additional medical staff for all the tests in the cruise terminal and all the controls, biologists. We made agreement with the Shoreside entities with the COVID-19 facilities, where we have reserved the rooms in case we have any suspect case on board that needs to be isolated so that we can immediately disembark from the ship.
Okay.
The other
sorry, Gianni, just let me ask you though, because you said you've got all this set up in Genoa, where obviously
everywhere, in every port.
So in every port, you'll have a lab, you'll have these 15.
Every port, yeah, where we have an embarkation, we have labs, we have COVID facilities, we have this agreement with medical staff. Every port. So in Italy, we have in Genoa, in Civitavecchia, in Naples, in Palermo, in Bari, in Trieste.
Okay. Wow.
Wherever we embark guests. The second big point was that our scientists told us people should not get off the ship during the cruise.
Right.
Well, it's impossible. And yeah, because they say you do all these efforts, you test everyone, then they get off, and then they got the virus. They get the virus and they bring it back on board. So what to do? He said, and we found a sort of solution. Actually, we found a solution that you can get off the ship only through an MSC organized tours.
Yeah.
We can make sure that we have buses properly sanitized. We can have respect of social distancing, respect of wearing of masks, and we have already tested all the different destinations of the tours so that we know that there is space for everyone, that there is social distances, that there is not mingling or gathering with other people coming from others. So the target here is to create a sort of a bubble, okay?
Yeah.
Which is the ship, and that is a moving bubble, even when they go shoreside. So
that's quite a difference, isn't it? Because currently, or the way it's been working is that, some people take the ship's cruise, of course, the tour, but other people like to do their own independent thing. But you're basically saying for the time being, they're not allowed to do anything independently. They've got to go on an MSC tour. That's
correct. This will be in the amended terms and conditions that we will set to buy the cruise. These are the conditions, because the health and safety accepts no compromise. So what we are doing, we are according to the cabin and the experience that you have purchased. You will have a number of excursions included. From one excursion including the cruise ticket for the Bella inside cabin experience, to the 5 excursions including to the yacht club. Okay.
Right.
So, or you can buy additional excursions with the 3 excursions in 3 different ports for €100, which again is a different price, more accessible pricing than what we had before. But this ensures that we have the control and the protection of our guests also when they're off the ship. Okay.
And are there any sort of destinations that you're not comfortable at the moment? I mean, you must be working, I'm sure, with all these ports and destinations, and has everybody been, very cooperative and they're doing what you need them to do, or are there some places that you just won't be sailing to initially because you just haven't got the confidence that they've got the health and safety thing right?
The itinerary definition has been a combination of what we would like to offer in terms of ports, and on another note, on the type and the high level of cooperation that we have been receiving from the ports. Although I have to say that all the ports in the Mediterranean have always been very, very cooperative with us, because they're the first ones after us suffering this situation of a lack of operation. And obviously this, you know about the economical impact of cruising, and they're very eager to restart. So not only the port operators, but all the communities. And by the way, the shore excursion organized by us this way is also protecting the local communities, because the local communities will have less fear of receiving these guests in their city. Because they know that they will come only with certain conditions, properly protected.
So it protects both your customers, but also
and
the
on
locals.
The top of it, the fact that MSC is organizing all these agreements with the labs, with the hospitals, with COVID facilities, and so on, this also will mean that we are not going to charge economically the local communities, but we take charge of this. And that's very important, because in other forms of tourism, this is not happening.
Right.
Because if you go to Greece, okay, and you go to Greece and you feel sick for any reason, I mean, you are, it's not the person, it's Greece that is providing for this, not in our case. So we are also showing the commitment and also the contribution that MSC and the cruise industry can do in these various ports. That's why we have chosen the ports also based on this high level of cooperation that we have been receiving.
So these initial ports that you're going back to on Grandiosa and Magnifica, they are the ones that have been the most cooperative and keen to have you back, I guess.
I will not say the most, because we have received a lot of cooperation also from Spanish port, from Marseille, but unfortunately the country at the central level today is not ready yet, also because they are facing other issues, you know, bigger issues with the pandemic, and so they were not ready. But we have received high level of cooperation from everyone. Everyone is eager, every port is eager that we are back.
Now, obviously, British guests can't be the first on board these restart cruises. We'll come on to that in a second, but just to give us an idea, what has the demand been like in Europe then for people who can go on these restart cruises? Are people keen? Are they reassured that you've done enough to make them feel safe?
I mean, Lucy, it's very funny, but we have not started yet to sell these cruises.
Oh, okay.
Because without the approval with the date of restart from the Italian government, we have a long waiting list for people who had booked cruises in August and September, waiting for it.
So what's the date you hope to start, even though you haven't got the approval?
I hope to start August 16 for
next week.
Yes.
You better get that approval soon.
It should be by Friday, not later than Friday.
Okay, all right.
On one note. On the other note is that we have made some investigations with our best friends, the travel agents. Okay, and we have found a huge enthusiasm. Okay, so and also these measures that I've listed earlier, like the swab test for all, like the shore excursion, they've all been very positive, and they believe that also the customers will appreciate that.
Yeah, well, we rang a few UK travel agents, and all they wanted to know was how they could get their customers on Grandiosa, you know, to get them on these. Obviously, they can't because of...
I can only answer in one way. Okay, that you know, we should wait for the approval from the UK government. So or better to say, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which I understand is the
Foreign Office. So I mean, I guess, you know, the British market has always been very important to you. I know you're not going to be able to rely on them for the restart initially, but you know, how is demand from the UK, I guess, for winter? Because you're talking about 14 ships coming back for winter, 19 next year. So, you know, are you still committed to the UK market, even though we've obviously got our own challenges regarding cruise.
No, obviously, you know, these cruises for this restart are dedicated to Schengen market. But when I talk about Schengen, usually in our terminology has always been Schengen plus Switzerland and UK. And so this has always been. Unfortunately, Swiss will come, UK guests not yet. Obviously, this restart can also be a sort of big driver for an acceleration of bookings for winter, because winter, however, is midway, is close and is far. But people, you know, if they don't see practically that cruises are there in operation, they don't have the last push in order to book. So we've seen that for winter, although not dramatically bad, but the situation is still far away from where it should be. While for summer 21, starting from spring, things are doing very well. We are very pleased about the decision of MSC Magnifica out of Southampton. Our team is doing an incredible job. So, and in general, the 2021 summer is showing very, very good numbers. We are obviously ahead of last year, much ahead, more ahead, also because many people have used, most of the people are using the vouchers.
Yeah, the future cruise credit.
So obviously they are looking at the next summer. So some of the people have already decided, some others have not decided yet. And so it's quite promising. So I really hope that.
And you're saying that by seeing ships operating, even though Brits can't go on them yet, you think that will be a good boost to sales. I mean, we've obviously had a bit of a setback this week because there have been some cruise lines that started operating, and in next to no time had COVID outbreaks, which I think has been, you know, a real blow really on the sort of reputation of cruise again. You know, what are your thoughts on that? And are you absolutely confident that, you know, you're restarting and that won't happen to you?
Okay, obviously, as you were saying, these are not good news. But sincerely, I've been so busy in you know, looking what I needed to do in order to have a certain level of very stringent protocol that I've not followed very, very deeply, the situation. So I've heard that there have been not always the protocol issued has been followed 100%. I've seen that in some cases, you know, there has also been some miscommunication because, for example, yesterday, 2 days ago, sorry, we embarked 400 crew members. And all these 400 crew members had been tested negative before leaving home. They arrived here, and we tested them again. And there was one out of 400 who tested positive. So you can, and because for the crew, we have planned 3 consecutive tests.
Okay? Right.
So if all the 3 consecutive tests are negative, and you have more than 14 days between the first test and the last test, you can be sure, okay, although with this virus, you cannot say that is always sure, but you can be very, very confident that you have a healthy person. Okay?
Yeah, okay. I guess it's
to find out that there was one positive case was also proof that our protocol is working.
It's working.
That's why we're doing the test.
I guess it's just the concern that, you know, of what this does to people's confidence around cruise in general. You know, there was it was months ago now, but obviously cruise was in the spotlight right in the start of this pandemic. That's obviously calmed down a bit. Everyone's been working very hard, but this latest news this week it's just another thing that might put people off. But if we can get cruises operating that are seen to be safe and doing everything correctly, that hopefully will help.
Okay, then I have to say that this respect, our ships are bigger than the ones that you have mentioned, that you didn't mention, that you are referring to. And we are also making a way that we are dedicating 10 square meters of public areas per person. because I think that in this case, the implementation of the protocol, which mixed of social distancing and wearing of mask, is the key. Because
so people are going to have to wear masks, are they, on board your ships?
Whenever the social distancing is not possible, they do. Give you one example. If I go to the theater, to watch the show, while I'm entering the theater, I need to wear a mask. Then when
because people are congregating.
Correct. When I'm seated, I don't wear the mask.
Okay. All right. That's
when
very
I go
interesting.
to the restaurant, I'm wearing the mask. But this is what is happening everywhere in the world.
Yeah, you go into the restaurant, but when you sit down, you can.
In the world, that in all those countries who have really decided to fight the virus.
Yes.
Not everyone.
Okay. All right. So that's fantastic. Let's just move on to it, because I know you're, conscious of your time, Gianni. But just talk to me about you had massive growth plans. You've got new ships due to come. I think the next two, I think you've already said, are going to be delayed, probably due to the shipyards obviously not being open for a while. But what about your, the bigger plans? You've got, loads more ships on order, haven't you? Another 6 ships for the main brand after Virtuosa and Seashore, and then you've got 4 for this ultra luxury brand. So I wonder if we can just talk about how COVID-19 has affected your slightly longer term plans.
We have confirmed all our orders.
Okay, so you're not going to cancel any? No. Some will be slightly delayed, will they, or will they all be coming when you wanted them?
No, we will have the delays that we have already announced for MSC Virtuosa, and instead of late October, will be out in March next year, and Seashore coming out in July next year. So next year we have 2 ships. Then we have confirmed the first world class MSC World Europa, which is coming out at the end of 2022. As well as we have announced, let's say, the Meraviglia 5. We have announced the second, let's say, the twin ship of Seashore. I cannot say the name. I'm saying the name. It's not.
Don't say it. Yeah. You nearly did. You nearly did.
And then we have so we have all our orders confirmed, as well as in 2023 the first ship for our luxury brand. So I want to confirm. I mean, this will come to an end at a certain point. This situation. I mean, it's not only a matter. I mean, the economy cannot sustain for so long such a situation. So it will come to an end. There will be a vaccine, and people will go back to what they like to do. There will be, obviously, we also depend on other industries, like, for example, the airline industries. I mean, we are a global company. We have ships all over the world. We give the opportunity to UK guests to travel to the Med, to travel to Dubai, to travel to Qatar, to travel to South America, to travel to Caribbean. Barbados or Miami. Now we have opened also Port Canaveral, so that people can also enjoy the Orlando visit before joining the ship. So we will continue to invest because we are optimistic. 21 will not be. I mean, our record year has been 2019. Okay.
Yeah.
We've done a great job. Okay, also financially, it's been our record year. 21 will not be as good as 19. I can already say.
And you're just writing off 2020, presumably, because that's not going to feature.
I mean, everyone has written off 2020. I mean,
yeah.
We will try all to even myself, who I'm going to turn 60 in 2020. This was really a bad year, I can tell you. Okay.
Oh, we'll have your party next year.
I will, no, but I look like 35, so I'm still left to wait for a long
You're all right, you're all right. So okay, so your orders are still coming as planned, you're investing, you're plowing ahead as you intended. What about your older ships? You know, a lot of your competitor companies are selling off ships, they're selling off their older tonnage, so I guess to ultimately reduce their capacity. Is that something you're going to be doing?
Sorry, but this was a question to me?
It's a question to you, yeah.
No, because you said your older ships. I don't have old ships. Huh? So you're addressing the question to the wrong company.
So your whole fleet. So you're gonna, all your new ships will come into the fleet, and the fleet will just keep growing. You're not going to be losing anything out the other side.
We don't have a ship before 2000. So we will have ships in the new century. So that's why we're not going to dismiss ships.
Okay.
And we will, because we needed those ships.
You need them. Okay, fair enough. Talk to me. You mentioned they're the luxury brand and how the first ship is on track. We still don't know much about this luxury, ultra luxury brand, because you were due to announce some stuff, and then of course all this happened. So when are you going to tell us a bit more about it, and what about now?
No, very soon. Actually, we are waiting for the right moment to do it, but this should happen. You know, it can happen before the end of the year, as the early next year. We're just waiting for the right moment with the right mood. You know, I don't want to do it through a web press conference. You know, I think that the service is such a milestone for our company, and also a milestone for the industry, that needs to be done in a proper way. You know, with people meeting, with people exchanging views face to face.
Okay, but your plan is to, I know it's going to be part of MSC, but will it be like a separate brand, separate team of people running it? We have talked about that before. You're still planning that.
Correct. This is correct. There will be a lot of synergy, a lot of cross-functional relationships, but we do believe that in order really to have a separate brand, which is different from the contemporary premium market where MSC brand is in, we need also to have different brains and different people, because they need to be focused on other aspects, on more extended aspects than we usually are.
Okay. All right. And I know we've not got much time, but just talk to me then just about what's been popular. And you saying that 2021 is actually selling pretty well. I know lots of people are using their future cruise credits, etc. But just give us an idea of, is there certain destinations? Are people wanting to cruise closer to home? Are they still confident about doing your more exotic sailings, or what? Give us the trends.
This will depend a lot also on the evolution of the airline industry, But there might be, and we are very well positioned in this case, I have to say. There might be that that people more likely will travel more close to home. So, and in this case, we are very well set because probably, as in the Caribbean, we are not going to have ships only in Miami, but also in Canaveral. This is already, expressing more the concept, I come and pick you at home. So there will be more private transportation as well than public transportation to reach the ship. We will have a ship based in UK, so please take advantage of it. We will have ships based in Germany, and that's the same. We have ships, obviously, 10 of them based in the Mediterranean, but for the West and East. We have ship based in China for the Chinese. So let's say that we are already well set. So it will be very interesting to see what happens. Obviously, if the airline industry is not recovering fully, you will also see less ships in Europe, because all the ships usually with American guests, if there is a limitation or a restriction in the availability of flights, you will see less US guests traveling to Europe and more. And then
you're saying you'd have to move some of those ships over to the States to allow them to cruise more locally.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Not for us, because we don't have enough ship in that case for the Med. So we have already a presence in summer there. But I'm referring.
You mean the industry in general?
Yeah, but the industry in general will be mainly, let's say, North American ships. Usually were coming to the Med, and they were also taking on board Europeans, a small portion of Europeans that in this case will not be.
But does that represent an opportunity for you at MSC then?
That's why I was mentioning. I see this as an opportunity, because it means that we're going also to take more UK guests on our ships.
That would be good, wouldn't it? Absolutely. So Gianni, before you go then, because obviously this is going to be watched by lots of agents in the UK that will have been, you know, selling cruise and are still selling cruise, but would, you know, what would be your message to them? Because it's been a tough time.
I mean, be confident. Be confident that the cruising will be back. Hopefully, MSC will be back earlier than others, so take advantage of it. But you know, it's a very bad moment. But still, I think that cruising represents a huge opportunity for our consumers looking for an enjoyable and rich holiday. So we must be optimistic. I know that it's tough. I know we are all making a lot of sacrifices at personal level, at professional level. That many of you have also economical difficulties, as everyone. But we will be over that together.
We'll be over it. And obviously everything you've talked about at the start is you're doing everything you can to give people that confidence that they can put their guests on board your ships.
And guests will feel safe and healthy. And if there will be a situation where that we need to manage, we are ready to manage. Our contingency plan is very solid. And I think that I mean, also, I'm confident because the protocol that I've presented, you know, in Italy and internationally, I've seen that has been very well received by everyone, not only by the media, but also by the authorities. So they know that we're serious. And
why? How? Sorry, I know we're finishing really, but why have you managed, or how have you managed to get your protocols in place and you know, restarting your operations quicker than the others?
I think that it depends. I think also others are developing. I don't know. Probably MSC has had in the past months has been less involved into managing repatriation of crew, repatriation of guests, and so on. You know, we were a little bit silent in the media because we didn't have, you know, passenger cases on board and so on. We stopped the ship very quickly. We had only one ship operating, which was MSC Magnifica. But actually, you know, at the end of the whole cruise, the passenger asked to remain longer on board because they felt safer on board than going back home. And actually, there was one image of a guest that for the first time had to put the mask when he got off the ship. Was a French guest. And he said that he didn't want, he wanted to go back to the ship. He asked the captain, he gave him even pocket money to be accepted on board. So probably we have had less, you know, less efforts to take at that time. Even the repatriation of our crew has been difficult, but smoother. So,
okay. So you didn't have all of that, so you were able to get on with this sort of future.
Then we have, you know, we are a small company as compared with others. We're not part of a corporation, so
yeah, okay.
We are a little bit more agile.
All right. Well, we wish you all the luck with the restart. I hope you get your approval by Friday. And I'm sure everybody would you know, join me in saying we just really hope the FCO lifts its advice against cruising as soon as possible so that we can get Brits back on board MSC ships.
That's the same wish I have.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gianni.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.